Welcome back to the fourth and the final problem of this experiment. In this experiment, we will print this pattern. Our task is to print this pattern using the loop. Of course, we cannot just type this thing. We have to print this pattern using the loop. So you can see there's kind of symmetry here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then again it is decreasing F, E, D, C, B, A. In the next line, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then is a space, then F, E, D, C, B, A. In the third line, we have A, B, C, D, E, then space, 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 and then E, D, C, B, A. And it goes on. So we have to print this pattern. So for this particular problem, I have already given the code. You can see here. I will not go through the code. Rather, I will explain the algorithm how this is done. So let's get started. You can see there is 7 rows and 13 columns in this pattern. 7 rows and 13 columns in this pattern. We will use nested loop for this type of problem. We will use 2 loop controlling variable, and the first loop controlling variable will control the rows, and the second loop controlling variable will control the columns, and it will be a nested loop. Nested loop means there will be a for loop outside, and there will be a for loop inside. There will be a for loop inside. Okay, so this will be the pattern. Some for loop outside and some for loop inside. This outer for loop will control the rows, and this inner for loop will control the columns. So when the loop controlling variable of the outer for loop, let's say that is I will be increased. That means we are going to the next row. And when the inner loop controlling variable, let's say that is k, when k is increased, we are going to the next column. Okay, so that is the pattern. Now let's do for the first row. Let's say our loop controlling variable for the row is I, and we are setting I to 1. I equal 1 means the first row. The first row is something like this: A, B, C, D, E, F, then G, and then again F, E, D, C, B, A. We cannot just type this in. We have to write a program for managing this. So how we can do that? There are multiple ways to do it. There are multiple ways, of course. If there is a symmetry, you can see there is a symmetry across this G. I can set this term to be 0th term, or this is the 0th place. So according to this will be -6. It is the index. It is the index. -6 and -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, and again increasing to 6. So this is 0. So -6, 0, 6. Let me just use this one. Okay. So let's say k controls our column. So k will start from -6 and it will go up to 6. So at first k will be -6. In each iteration it will increase by 1 and it will ultimately reach 6. Now we have declared a variable called ch, and ch is set to a. Fine. Even though this a is a character, it has an ASCII value. So if we write character plus 1, that simply means the ASCII value of character is increased by 1. That means it will print b. This is a useful piece of information. We will use this later. Okay, now we have to design this in such a way that at first the ASCII value will increase up to this point, and then it will increase, and then again decrease. How can we do that? There are multiple ways. You can try out your own way. My way is, I am taking the absolute value of this k. How we can take the absolute value? We can use a if else block here. If k is greater 0, then you can say that let's say x is k. Then we are storing this absolute value of k to x. It is basically same. Else means, or I can just write else if k is less than 0. In that case, for x we have to take minus k. So if it is minus 6, then x will be minus k. Minus k means minus 6, that means plus 6. So in this fashion, using this block of code, we can calculate the absolute value. It will be, you will see this block of code in the original code when you will use that. So now we know how to take the absolute value. So our job will be taking the absolute value. So we have taken the absolute value of k. Let's say absolute value of k is x. So let me arrange this in a good fashion. So we are taking x as the absolute value of k, abs of k. So this is 6. So 6, then it will be minus 5 here. K will be increased in every direction. So minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0. Then again 1, 2, 3, 4. So in each step we will be taking the absolute value of k. So this will be 6, this will be 5, this will be minus 4, and this will be 4, this will be minus 3, this will be 3, and this again up to 6. K is 6 and x will be again 6. If we write that in each iteration we want to print character plus 6 minus x minus x, let's see what we are getting here. At the first point, k was minus 6, so x being absolute value of k was 6. So character plus 6 minus 6, it will be simply a, right? Simply a, because 6 minus 6 is 0, so we are not adding anything, so it will be simply a, because our character was initially a. So an a is printed. We are printing an additional space with the a for better visibility. So we will just print a and then a space. Space just means blank. I am just indicating this dash to indicate space. But in the code, you will just put a blank here. Then, in the next step, k is minus 5 because k is increased by 1. And x will now be 5. So, in this case, x will be 5. So that means now we are adding 1 to ch. It will print b and additional space together. Okay, so then minus 4 means 6 minus 4, we will print c. Then minus 3, 6 minus 3 means we will print d, and we will go up to 0. So what will happen in 0? ch plus 6 minus 0, that means ch plus 6, it will be g, and we will put an additional space at the end, so g. Okay, so we have printed up to g. Now what will happen if we further increase k? K was 0 here. Now if we increase k, k will be 1. As this is already positive, absolute value will be still 1. So ch plus 6 minus 1 will be again ch plus 5. That means now it will be again f, and we will put an additional space to f. So the f is printed. Then as it will increase, it will keep decreasing, because 6 minus 2 is 4, 6 minus 3 is 3, and when it will reach the end point, when k will be 6, x will also be 6. So ch plus 6 minus 6 will be again a. So that is how we can simply print this whole line using this block of code. The code will be printf. We are printing the characters, so %c or we don't need %c here, we just put %c and then an additional space. In the code, you will just put a space. I am indicating the space using this dash. Okay, and comma, we have to set the variables of %c here. It will be ch plus 6 minus x, or whatever variable you take in the code. So this printf %c an additional space for the better visibility, and the value of c will be ch plus 6 minus x. So that is done. We are done with printing the first line. Then when the I will be further increased, let's again erase all this. So we are done with the first row. So now we will move to the second row. So I will be increased at the end of the loop. This is the outer loop, and k was in the inner loop. So now it will be +1. It will be I equal to 2. So in the second row there will be A, B, C, D, E, F, and then a blank, and then again F, E, D, C, B, A, and then when we will increase I further, it will be I equal to 3. So A, B, C, D, E, blank, 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 E, D, C, B, A. There is a pattern going on. The space is increasing, and we can model the space. We can relate the space with the number of row. How we can do that? Let's say number of space is ns. Number of space ns. When I is equal to 2, number of space is equal to 1. When I is equal to 3, number of space is equal to 3. When I is equal to 5, the number of space is equal to, when I is equal to 4, the number of space is equal to 5. So we can make an equation using these relations. You can just simply try it. I am just writing it down. ns will be 2 into I minus 3. You can check it. When I is 1, 2 into 1 is 2 into, when I is 2, 2 into 2 is 4, 4 minus 3 is of course 1. So done. When I is 3, 2 into 3 is 6, 6 minus 3 is 3, so done, and it goes on and on. So the equation is this: ns equal to 2 into I minus 3. So we will determine the number of space in this fashion. Determining the number of space is not enough. We have to determine the range of the space. In this line it is only 0. In this line it is from -1 to +1. How we can do that? We can simply divide this ns by 2. Let's say this is c, and it is int type variable. So what will happen if we divide this by 2? Let's say at first it was 1. So what will happen if I divide 1 by 2? It will be 0, because my data type is integer type, and int c, this means only the quotient of the division will be saved in the c. So c will be 0. So that means in the second row we will set the space in the 0th position. What will happen if I is equal to 3? If I is equal to 3, from the equation we will get ns equal to 3. And if we divide 3 by 2, it will be 1, because we are taking only the quotient. So c is now 1. So what does this 1 mean? This 1 means our space will start from -1 and it will end at +1. Okay. Now in the next stage it will be 5. So we will divide 5 by 2. It will be 2. What does that 2 mean? That 2 means the space will start from -2, -1, 0, 1, and it will end at 2. All these positions will be filled by spaces. Space, 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 space. Okay, so now we know how to model the space. Now let's start writing the program. Okay, so let me erase. Okay. So again we will start from -6. We'll take the modulus. Of course, this is k and this is x. Take the modulus, and it will end at 6. Take the modulus 6. This is the line of k and this is the line of x. So we will repeat the previous code up to this number of space or c term. You can see C was 0 for this case. So we will repeat the previous code, which was printing character plus 6 minus k. We will, or 6 minus x. We will repeat this. But up to C. Up to C. You can see up to 0. So at first we will divide this whole line into two parts. One part will be from minus C, the loop controlling variable was k, this range, minus C to C, minus, or we can put an equal sign here, minus C to C. So at first step C was 0, so k was only 0, but in the next line C was 1, right? In this line C was 1. We can write the C here, of course. We can put the value of C here. The first line we have calculated C to be 0. The second line we have calculated C to be 1. This is C. So when the C is 1, we can see minus 1 k 1. This is one range. Another range is outside this range. So it will be minus 6 to minus 2. Then second range, another range will be 2 to 6. So we are dividing this into basically 3 range, but we will model these 2 ranges together. So there are 2 ranges. First range is this 2 and the second range is this. In this range we have nothing to do. We just simply need to print space. So we will be printing space in this range. And in this range we will be repeating the code from the previous row, that we will be always printing this character ch plus 6 minus x, where character was set to a. In this fashion we will get that desired output. Let's see the code, and we will not describe it in detail. We will just run it and see if it is working. So here we are in the code, and just one overview. You can see that at first this is the outer loop. Outer loop obviously controls the rows. You can see that it is starting from 1 and it will end at 7 because there are 7 rows, and in each iteration it is increased by 1. So in the next part you will see that there are one if-else block, because we are modeling the first row in a different way and all other rows in a separate way. So if we are in the first row, we have a separate block, and for all other rows we have another else block. Okay, so this is very straightforward. We are declaring the ch as a, and we are declaring a variable k here. Actually in the code which was x, it is k here, and in the explanation which was k, it is actually j here. So j is the inner variable. It is the loop controlling variable for the columns. So it will start from minus 6 to 6, and as I said, we will take the modulus of the j, and modulus of the j is stored in k. So we will print %c and an extra space, and the printing parameter will be ch plus 6 minus k, as I have said. Else, that means if the row is not the first row, if it is second row or anything between second and 7th row, we will do this thing. So the first number of space ns, or num space, it is calculated by this equation, as I said, 2 into I minus 3. I is the loop controlling variable for the row. So for the first row, for the second row it was 2 into 2, 4 minus 3, 1. So number of space 1. And x was the variable which I was identifying by c in my explanation. So x is num space by 2. So in the first case it will be 1 by 2. As it is int, x will be 0. So, and again k is the modulus of j is the loop controlling variable. So you can see we are dividing it into 2 parts. See, if this is the first part, if the value is between this range, j is less than minus x or j is greater than x, that means our x was the num space by 2. That means if it is the second row, x is 0. So if it is less than 0 or if it is greater than 0, then we will do absolutely same thing. We will take the modulus and then print this thing. But if it is in this range, I have shown you the range. The range was from minus of x to plus x. If it is between minus x to plus x, you can just put it here as else if. If if it is between j is greater than equal to minus x and j is less than equal to x. So you can see that if j is the loop controlling variable, if j is greater than or equal to minus x and j is less than equal to x, that means if the j is in the range of minus x to x, then it is the space region and we don't have to do anything. We just need to print two space. One space is regular and we are putting an additional space for every character. So we are putting in two spaces here. One is our main space, another one is additional space. We are printing in every line. Now after printing one row, we have to give a line break. So we have to go to new line. So we are putting print \n at the end of each iteration. That will create two line gaps. Now let's run the code. You can see A is printed and then a space, B then space, and goes on. Then there are one gap here because two new line, two \n means go to this line and then go to this line. So one line gap in between, and then you can see the code is perfectly working. I would recommend you to go through similar pattern generating problems because you may face some pattern generation problems in your exams. So this is a very important problem. There are a lot of exercise problems too. I would recommend you to go through this exercise also. So that's all for the experiment 2. We will meet again in the live session. Till then, stay safe. Goodbye.